Hi guys, ebomey here. This is going to be a very quick video on doing a trigger job on a Mosin Nagant. Or, yeah, I say that a lot. It's going to be a quick video, haha. I've been asked quite a few times to do this video, even though I've tried to direct people to the source of where I got this idea from, which was Wheelwood 487. My brother, he did a great video on this, but since I've been asked, I'll quickly go over it. And since my good friend the Piranha 57 sent me a trigger scale, gave me an idea to compare these two guns. This is the hex receiver, 1933. I have no intentions on doing anything to this gun other than shooting it. And then my round receiver is the one that I goof around with, and if I have it my way, will probably be sporterized someday when I can afford to do that. But just as a comparison, the 8 pounds. £8. So we got 8 pounds on this one, and this one I have already done a trigger job to it, and we get 6 pounds. So I was able to shave 2 pounds off the gun, and you may say, how would you do that? Well, it's actually pretty simple, and other than spending a bunch of money and getting a roller trigger or some aftermarket parts for it, this one didn't cost me anything, or if you do pay anything, it's going to cost you a few pennies. So first we gotta take the gun apart. Which, if you need to know how to do that, I have my disassembly and cleaning video already out there. Overall, I have to say, I know I personally was not going to even get a Mosin, because it's like everybody had a damn Mosin, and I was getting sick and tired of seeing them. And after going back and forth, I finally went and bought it. And I have to say, for the $90 that I have invested in this gun, it is absolutely one of my favorite guns to shoot. And if you're buying the surplus ammo, you know, you can get yourself down into, you know, 10 cents a round to shoot it. Okay, so you got your Mosin apart, and there's two basic things that you're gonna do for this procedure, is to shim up the spring, which is right there. You'll remove that screw, and remove this small pin, which any of you that have watched my disassembly video and cleaning, you have to watch out for this, because nothing holds this pin in except for when the gun is assembled. So during the cleaning process, it's entirely possible that you'll lose that little pin, and then when you go to put it back together, you'll wonder why your trigger feels so sloppy. But take this apart. Okay, so people are wondering, is I started with polishing compound, and I polished all of the surfaces that make contact with each other. So any of the basically the mating surfaces in the trigger assembly, and once you have this together, you'll kind of see how everything sits in there, and just every piece that basically touches each other, I did some polishing on them. I don't know how much that improves, but you know, I figured what the heck. You know, I guess I probably could have done this slowly in chunks, and then of course at the time I didn't have the trigger scale. So, but polishing all of the touching surfaces just to try to get any burrs off of there. And the biggest part is the shimming. And if you've all seen like these kits, I just went through with what I had, and at the time all I had was one of the forked ones, which is what I ended up using. And you want to put that. Let me get this aimed a little bit better. You want to put that right there. And then make sure on this front edge where the opening is, that's where the magazine where the magazine attaches and where your magazine well is. And you don't want to have anything sticking out, you know, right there beyond that point when you're putting this all back together. Get your pin back in there. So that's basically all that I did right there. Was get an angle on that so you can even see that. So all you're doing is shimmying up that spring just a little bit. You know, I'm not taking any responsibility for anybody going crazy on this. Any modifications that you do, not to sound like a lawyer, but you're pretty much doing at your own risk, because you don't want to get that shimmed up too much. And the one sure way to tell is when you have the gun reassembled. Is how it functions. How it functions when you have it back together. A sure sign that you've shimmed that way too much is if your bolt will no longer stay in the gun, because during the disassembly stage of this, you have to pull the trigger. You have to pull the trigger on the gun to get the bolt to come out of it. So if you go to put this thing back together after shimmying up that trigger spring, and your bolt and if you do that and your bolt does not catch you have that shimmed way too much. So now that I've taken it apart and put it back together, let's see if we're... Six and a half that time. I got 5.5 that time. 6. So we'll just say I'm back to I'm back from 6 pounds. So by polishing it a little bit, like I said, because I don't have a baseline, if I was to actually have reassembled it and checked it as I went, I don't know how much the polishing helped on that. I figured if it helped, it would help maybe just a little bit. So polishing, as you take it all apart and you kind of watch how all the components work, to put a little bit of effort into polishing those pieces. And like I said, I used I'm a huge fan of the Mother's mag and aluminum polish. That's what I primarily use. So that's just a quick what I did. Polishing the mating surfaces and slightly shimming up that trigger spring. Like I said, I went with some of these electrical connectors. I've seen guys use washers, but I had this on hand. I would have probably liked to have used a full round one instead of that fork piece that I actually ended up using, but the end result is I got a gun from an 8-pound trigger pull. A little bit of the take-up was removed in there, and I dropped it down to somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5 pounds. Pretty much consistently, my average would be about 6 pounds, just to shim it up a little bit with that. So for all those guys that were asking about that, that's pretty much it. Considering if you don't have something like this laying around, what I would do is probably take it apart and maybe bring that screw with that holds the spring on there, and you can check to make sure, because like these yellow ones are a little bit too small, and if you've ever attempted to do this, they are kind of a pain in the butt to drill that hole a little bit bigger. It is possible, but you know, these are aluminum, so if the bit catches, it'll just rips these things up. So if you can buy it in the first place the right size, and then pay attention to that front edge, you will find that because of how close that screw is in there, if you don't file that back a little bit, you do not want that hanging out in the path of your mag, the mag well, because otherwise the first time you go to put ammo in this thing, you're not going to be able to get it in there. And if for some reason it does go in there, it's probably not going to run properly, because there's going to be a chunk of this that's going to be in the way and stop the round from getting up into the gun. So there you go. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, for about an hour of your time and one of these things, or a regular washer or something, you can definitely improve the trigger characteristics of a Mosin Nagant. And this gun was probably shot about 100 times or more last Sunday down at the big shoot that I got to go to, and I gave a whole bunch of guys an opportunity that had either A, never even seen a Mosin, or B, had never even shot one, that got the opportunity to shoot this. And I thought it was a lot of fun being able to share something like this. And when you're looking at a gun that's anywhere from I've seen them as low as $79 up to like $100 and $150 for a round receiver. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun indeed. So, thanks guys.